Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Are you ready to level up your team skill development? Well, Ballology is here to support you in driving accountability and skill development. The Ballology app is more than just tracking. It's a resource for enhancing skills, knowledge, and mindset across your program. Join coaches all across the country using Ballology to simplify training and empower your athletes. Let's build consistency, accountability, and skill development together.
So we talked a little bit about the culture that you have early on in the freshman group, and I like the fact that you give so much ownership to those coaches, and they really sometimes set a really good foundation for those guys. I would have to imagine that the example of your guy was with you for 2 years, went to a prep school, and then came back. I think that has to show a positive culture or something that your school that he wanted to be a part of again. How does culture drive performance in your program?
Yeah, I think that's happened with a few different kids that we've had here, which does, I think, speak to that. I will tell any coach, like, as bad as you want to be upset about them leaving or all that stuff, like, do not burn that bridge. And like, we are here for the kids. And if they think, if they think this is a better opportunity for them, or if they think something's better somewhere else, then I never want to keep a kid from that. Or like, we've already lived our high school dreams, lives, or whatever, made our decisions. So they have to do those, live with those, and we'll support it. And we've always been like that. But I don't think there's very many programs that are going to love you like we'll love you here and provide you with every opportunity to get better.
I think when those guys leave, that's really when our why is tested. Our why isn't really tested when you're winning and everybody's happy and people stay after the year. The why is tested when you're losing. The why is tested when you have those parents that just have maybe lost their perspective a little bit, or when guys leave, because I've been guilty in the past of just taking it so personal, like right. It's an attack on me. But you're right. I have to divorce myself from the situation and step back and just see that they're hearing whatever they're hearing or whatever opportunity they think they have. Man, it's their choice. And if my why is really just to impact the kids that God puts in the gym for me that year, then tip my hat, leave the door open like you said. And I've had some really cool experiences where a couple years ago, a guy left, and then after a game the next year or 2 years later, randomly had a knock on my office door about an hour after our game, and it was him. And he was just saying, "Coach, I wish I would have stayed." And I didn't like, yeah, I told you. Like, I told you that was good. No, but it was one of those, I wasn't mean or harsh to him when he left. Told him that I'd always be there for him and wish him the best. And I think that he was able to walk back in, repaired anything. But I think that's really the goal with it, right?
And I'll say this too, like, it's not 100% of the time. Sometimes they're going to leave and you're going to be 9-15, like, and it's going to be a tough season or whatever else. But most of the time, I think kids are going to surprise you, and other kids are going to step up. And I really think that happened for us last year. We had 2 kids leave, and really kind of a question mark on what that team was going to be. And it was a 25-win team and really came together, and guys stepped up that I was like, I mean, it was just, I was, you believe in kids, but you're like, wow, he had a great year.
My belief wasn't necessarily that
right.
where you went. Well, the overachieving years to me are the ones that are really fun. And last year's group for us was like that. Thought they'd be good. Never thought that they would win the games that they did, how they did it, and offensively the team they became. It was really fun to see. And I would imagine those are some of those years where we really get those coaching paychecks, when things from the outside looking in early on maybe didn't look so great, but as a team you figure out a way. And those are great wins.
They are.
But then maybe, Coach, the art of it, or where your passion comes through, is what if you lose those players and you do go 9-15, but you feel like you did your very, very best? Are you the same for those guys during that season, or checked out looking towards the future, frustrated more because of what could have been? I don't know. I think those moments when we're tested is when we find out really who we are in this profession.
For sure. It is. I will say that is a test. And luckily, we haven't had to have very many of those. But when
I don't want to be tested every year. I'd like to have a few.
Exactly. But no, I mean, even those years, like, you still have great kids that want to give everything for you, and you can sleep fine at night. Even if you're frustrated about wins and losses, you know you're giving everything you have, and those kids are, so it's okay.
What's your advice to those coaches? And I may be asking for myself as well, that during those tough years, the sleep part, the stress, the worry, even in golly, what was it? I don't want to try to sound too smart here, but there's a Stoic that Ryan Holiday mentioned it, but he said just don't stress about unknown futures. Like, you don't know what district is going to look like a year from now. You don't know about those things. So why are we stressing, 8 months before? But what's your advice to those guys that are going through that maybe during a tough time?
I can promise you that the worry's wasted, but we can always say that. Like, I mean, if you're not in this situation in the moment, it's tough to just say that. But there has not been one season, no matter what, that anybody else remembers or cares about except for those guys in that room, your coaching staff and those players. Like, those are the only ones that it means anything to. So, like you said, no matter what the record, what the situation, you want to try to give your all to those kids. And that's all you can keep doing, even in those frustrating situations. I don't have a ton of advice on the sleep because I'm not great at it. When I'm thinking about something, that's probably one of my faults too.
I think whenever I'm not sleeping well, I mean, for me personally, I've got to look back at my walk. Like, I'm probably not in the Word as much as I need to be.
Yeah.
Or maybe there is an area of sin in my life or something creeping up that just really has me stressed out. And that's something that I always just look at. When everything seems to be going wrong, how am I doing in that area of my life? And maybe for guys that's not something that is big or important to them, which, okay, it could also just be making sure that you're eating right, working out like you said, getting that alone time to continue to grow ourselves, whether it's reading good books or listening to great people. And I think that could be helpful.
I heard a guy speak, and he said, going back to, like, when you're making decisions, before you're making that decision, you say to yourself, what do I want my story to be? And if this decision is going to make your story where you're not proud of it, or you don't want to live it, or whatever else, or that's not what you want to be about, then don't make it. And I think that's something that I try to think about and live by. And not to say there's not chapters in my story that I'm not embarrassed about, that aren't exactly how I want them to be, but we can always change the ending. We can always make the ending what we want it to be, if you have struggled with anything.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that there's definitely jobs out there, especially at the level that you're at, where if you don't win, maybe that year, but probably the next year, if that continues, you may be having to look for another job. And that's a pressure that is real, and coaches feel from time to time. But I think even in those moments, we've got to remember that this is our job, but it's their game. And I think sometimes the fact that it's our job, we are providing with for our families through this, and it's something we're passionate about, and it's what we do. It's not their job. I wonder how many times, though, we steal the fun and suck it out of the gym and make it is serious, and we want them to pursue excellence, but it's not their job. Maybe one day it will become that. If they play in college, it'll probably feel like that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's so hard, and not to. If you're not having fun as a coach, your players probably aren't having fun, and then have we lost perspective on it?
Yeah, and that's even as an older coach. Like, I think you have to continue to celebrate the wins, celebrate the thing. Like, as much as I loved last year, I looked back and there was probably only one win like we really celebrated. like, out of all those. And I was like, man, we got to celebrate wins more. We've got to appreciate those things more as a team. And I have to make sure as a coach, I'm letting them know, just as much as I am critiquing whatever they're doing, whatever else, I'm giving them just as much praise and confidence in themselves.
I think I love that reminder, and I think appreciate that from you. I think we have to look for milestones throughout the season. And because I try to be a process-based coach, and we talk about let's just be 1-0 today. Let's win today. Like all of those things that some people think are cliche, I think they're really, really important. Let's squeeze. Let's get like the Navy SEALs say, let's get the full benefit of today's workout, which means we've got to be completely all in with our feet. All for that, coach. But there are milestones throughout the season. So like at the end of our fall workouts, the Friday before, the Monday where our season starts, we run a separator, which is 20 suicides or lines in 20 minutes. I heard it from Cal Pari years ago, and it is challenging, but then it's more of just now it's like a rite of passage. But we also it's Jersey Day, and they can wear any NBA college jersey they want. Once district comes, we have a Jersey Day. Once, if we make playoffs, we have a Jersey Day, like once we secure a spot. And I've forgotten over the years that this milestone means this, and the players remind me of it. Hey, coach, we wearing jerseys tomorrow because we did that. Like if the players are wanting something and reminding you of it, and it's not something negative, then that's things that we need to continue to do and celebrate, because I think what it'll do is help us through that grind that maybe as coaches we love, but players, I feel like they want change and need to keep it fresh. But that's just something we do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Some different things, like just on the topic that you said, like we started every season with a type of boot camp deal. With all these, there's probably, I think we had 8 to 10 different running challenges outside and inside that are absolutely brutal. Like
Coach, you jump in and do those with them?
I'll do one. I gotta do the first one, but just say I can do this.
Yeah.
But as hard as it is, and they get through it, and they get through it together. I have altered it a little bit over the years just because of the hamstrings and the quads and all that stuff. We want to take care of them, but I'll be danged if every guy that comes back talks about it and loves that they did it. Like, and I tell the guys all the time, like, you will never regret anything hard you've ever done. Like any bit of hard work you ever put in, and just any time our effort is slacking at all practice wise, it's going to be a running thing. But they've really bought into that. So that was a thing that I'm surprised all the time. Then another thing, kind of a team building thing, and this is, as a coach, this is brutal on you, and I hate doing it, but I do it every year for them, is we have a lock-in, and we sleep in the gym, stay overnight, and they talk about it forever. And they, like, if I ask them right at the end of the year, what's your favorite part besides staying in a hotel at a tournament or something, like, they love it. And I mean, my back hurts for a week, and I'm on air matches on the gym or whatever else. But we'll bring our kids up here. Our coaches can bring their families up here, and it's just a family culture thing. And I already got a text. Coach wins the lock-in this year, and it's just something they love. So just something small that I think we have to put ourselves in situations, which I have fun when I'm there too.
Yeah.
But put yourself in even uncomfortable situations sometimes, and it'll mean more to them than you even know.
Can you give me a few examples of what you do, or some things that are happening at the lock-in? Because I've wanted to do that for a long time and just never have. And I think
we have
go ahead.
We have Promethean board, like the Promethean screens or whatever. So we have those set up all on one wall where they have NBA 2K, whatever football video game, whatever sports video games they bring. And there's probably at least 3 of those going at one time. We always have a very competitive kickball game in the gym. There's been a few hide and seek challenges in the gym, like throughout the school area, gym area, just kind of in this area, that have ended in the alarm came on by itself and the police show up, kind of deal, and
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. But
Yeah, you gotta be keep them in the gym, and you got to make sure the alarm stays off. But I mean, they just and they just we have drinks set up or whatever else, and really just spend time together. And we've done different challenges or different deals, and then we always try to come together and have a little message sometimes and talk about why we're here, what we're doing, and
do they actually sleep? Do they actually get to sleep at that?
And I think normally by 3 a.m. maybe they're asleep, and we get like the time we're leaving at 6 a.m. So you can sleep when you want, but you're going home to get your bed at 6 a.m. So so normally about 3 to 6, I would say there's some actual sleep that goes on.
Coach, the Grapevine Faith first annual lock-in. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. I've wanted to. I
don't know. I mean, just when you start it might not stop. So just make sure you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Anything with basketball that you do at it, or is it just completely?
I mean, they get the ball out and they do play, and we'll play some. And
I thought even lowering the basket, because Coach, majority of our guys need the baskets lowered.
I mean, I think that'd be a great idea. If you can lower your baskets to 8 foot both ways and have a competitive game where they can do some high flying, that'd probably.
But you're right though. All of those games, kind of like the same as your boot camp, in the back of my mind is injury. How is this? Our starting 5, man, we looked really good, and then boot camp took 5 of them out. I just that stuff does worry me, but I think I got to get past that.
Yeah, well, I have changed. Now, I will say, like, we've done the boot camp a long time, but I have changed to where now we have strength coaches here now that are awesome and take care of a lot of our stuff. So I've kind of let them do the conditioning part too, where now our freshmen coming in, they still have to go through it. But our older guys that have already been through it, it's more of a, I guess, college traditional conditioning type build up.
Yeah.
And it's instead of doing it all up front, it's kind of consistent throughout. And it's been really good.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.